All right, the long-term review of the Ravin R29. I've had it for about a year. Let's look at what I have on the Ravin first. I don't like the factory scope from Ravin. The reticles are too small and too close together. I have the Hawk XP30 Pro. These metal flip-up caps that come on there are awesome. I like the reticle better. It's still not my favorite, but it's pretty good. And it's the only one that has a knob that's easy to turn, and it's simple because it only has one color. I have a LaserWorks LE032 rangefinder mounted on here, so I can just press a button. I don't have to dig out my rangefinder. I have a trigger extension from Bill Shields on here. The reason why I got that is because, like, if this is your trigger on the Ravin, when you go to grab the handle, like, you can grab it like this, you know, to where your finger's like this. You have to back your finger up for your first joint to be on the middle of that trigger. And it's still like that, but it does help a little bit. That thing fits on there really well. Products, including this table, are linked in the description below. I have Zombie Slayer arrows that John Smith built for me. His info is in the description below. I have the 4-in-1 light bipod on the front, bipod hanger that I make. Here is that trigger extension from Bill Shields. Here's the Hawk XP30 Pro. Here are the Zombie Slayers that John Smith built. Here's the 4-in-1 light bipod hanger that I make from Backyard Broadheads. And the LaserWorks LE032 rangefinder. The button, activation button for it's down here. So when it comes to the review, if you're on the fence and you're not sure if you're gonna love this crossbow, then go ahead and get it. You are gonna love it. The price is certainly a negative for this crossbow, but I'm starting to see them out there used. I saw one for $1,200 the other day. So used is an option. This thing is extremely compact. It's extremely accurate. I mean, I can hit, well, I shouldn't say I can, but in the past I have hit the same hole 3 times in a row with 3 different arrows at 60 yards. You can check that video out on my channel also. It's in the description. Having the ability to crank and uncrank the crossbow is awesome. You can get up into your tree stand without having to cock before you go up. You can do it in the tree stand. My 4-in-1 light bipod's nice because I can set it out on the rail and crank it up. And then also this is nice because you can rest it on the rail and on your lap, or put your leg here and rest it like that. When I first got mine, it wasn't very long and the center serving wore out. And part of that was because the Ravin bolts come with nocks that are extremely tight. And part of it is because sometimes the Ravin strings, maybe they fixed this problem now, they don't last super long. I have Archery Shack strings and cables on there now, and they're staying in great shape, but I really haven't shot it a lot to really test how long they're gonna last. But let's take a look at what you wanna look at on your strings to make sure you're changing your strings and cables before they break. All right, so when you are checking the cable ends on your crossbow, when the cable comes around the cam right here, there is no serving on these strands of the cable. So they will start to split apart right there. So check that, make sure those aren't splitting. If they are, your cables need changed out with your strings. And then these strands here are going this way, and they hold this loop together. So when those strands start to break, is also time to change out your strings and cables. Then here we have your center serving, so when your sled is not in the way, you want to check the condition of that. And then on the other end of your cables right here, there are these strands going this way. Keep an eye on those also for when those start to break. Also, the built-in crank mechanism is freaking awesome. And I'm going to mention it again, the ability to decock the crossbow is awesome because I can just do it in my tree stand or in my blind when I'm done hunting. You don't have to carry a cocked crossbow or have a target with you to unload this thing. So that is an extremely nice feature that you're really going to like. So I can't say too much more good about this thing. Hopefully I covered everything. One bad thing is they don't make it anymore. You can still get them on like eBay and Amazon. I'm sure other places still have them, but they're not making the R29 anymore. You can get the 29X, which is a little bit faster and it has silent cranking, but it has a higher draw weight, and I like to have the lower draw weight. I figure just less chance of having any problems. This thing does shoot at 430 feet per second. The nice thing about that is if you do end up going with heavier bolts or heavier broadheads or adding lights to your arrows, you can still keep this thing above or right around 400 feet per second. This one is still shooting about 403 or 405 feet per second. I mean, on the back here, there's a little bit of rubber that's starting to peel out a little tiny bit. I hang mine upside down on a rack here, here, and here on the back of my quad. So I added a little piece of rubber and some tape back here to kind of cushion that a little bit. So those are the things that I love about the Ravin R29, and you can click here to go for pro tips on the Ravin crossbows.